Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
We'll do it live! Fucking do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here?
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
What's up, everybody? We made it. We're live. It's about time. How's everybody doing? I am coming through in Shade's mic, so that's fun.
It's all that we turned down.
But anyways, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
Right, there's always something. That's why there's the error messages in there. If it's really annoying, let us know. I'll see what I can do to try to fix it on the fly. But
there are ghosts in the studio. That's what it is.
That's right.
Did you open the filter setup for you that I had before we went rolling?
Me?
No, Mr. No. Shades.
Nope.
I was going to say I didn't get one.
All right. Well, he takes care of that. Yeah, we've had a lot of technical things to figure out to get rolling here. But welcome to the first episode of Hall of Fandom here on Cyber Skull Media. I am one of your hosts, Thundarius, and we have a nice panel today, and these are going to be once a month to start, hopefully the first Saturday of the month, but you can keep up to date with when we do things and post announcements over on our Facebook page. Things may change, so you can follow us there. You can subscribe here and keep up to date on stuff. We're basically going to talk about movies, talk about shows, directors, actors, use of CGI, whatever we really want to talk about on this show. But since it's our first time together, and these two guys down below here love talking about horror movies and making horror movies, we decided that we'd start with a horror comedy that we all quite enjoy. So with that being said, I'm Thundarius, and I have been part of Cyber Skull Media since its inception over 3 years ago. And we make quite a bit of different types of content, and we've been really reining things in over the last few months as to what we are producing. So I will hand it off to my partner in crime, Mr. Shades.
Oh, no, don't hand it off to me. Am I even working yet?
I hear you.
Yes, but I'm still coming through pretty loud, so I'm going to try to keep it really quiet.
Configuration editor?
ASMR.
Yes.
Yeah, there's the whole show.
Did you right click and run an as admin? All right, that might help.
I love Tremors.
Just
I'm in-
love technology.
I'm your boy Crude. Nice to see y'all.
Hello.
The biggest, fluffiest of them all. Hard fitting this much sexy on here, but we'll try.
You're gonna break the internet.
Hey. Hope it doesn't have a weight limit.
Is that a
Oh,
Kim Kardashian's booty reference? I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, no.
Isn't that the picture that broke the internet? I don't know.
Yes, much better. Much better.
There you go.
We need a crude booty pic to break the internet.
Oh,
Fireman calendar.
I got a booty pick up
If
on
it
there.
works, I'll twirl. Do it for the views.
Yup.
Do it for the memes. But yes, now that Shades has gotten some things fixed, but I guess Crude, you want to tell us what the XX Crude XX is and where people can find you outside of here?
Yeah, currently I am, I'll be doing some things, but on Twitch right now, you can find me. I don't know how often with new employment and some other stuff. It's kind of, it's just schedule's rough. But but yeah, you can find me on Twitch.
Gaming it up.
That's where I'll be. Yeah, doing the games.
Nice.
Games are rough right now, so
Nothing fun to play.
That's a
right
whole discussion.
yeah, that's
There's some crazy stuff going on. But now that Shades has his mic all fixed up, so I'm not super loud in it.
I mean, we'll see if it's fixed.
You never know.
Yeah.
to be seen.
I suppose I am Dustin Matson, writer, director, YouTuber. You may have seen this next director at the store. That's I make cheap movies. I talk about cheap movies and expensive movies and do all of that on the 3B Video YouTube channel and the Deep Cut podcast, which is available on all major podcast rigamaroos, apps, whatever the hell you call those things, whatever the kids are calling them these days. But yeah, and I'm here to rant and ramble about Tremors.
You may have seen him on our channel before. If not, we have an old Cyber Skull Lounge interview where we brought him on to talk about his directing of Tapehead. And speaking of Tapehead, who do we have next?
I'm Dylan, first name only, like the share of this thing. I guess kind of indie horror actor, stunt guy from Tapehead, The Return of Jacob Cobb. 2025, I've got a feature-length horror film, Silverback Lane, that I'll be working on. So, yeah, man, trying to stay on that hustle.
Nope.
Also, you forgot bodybuilder extraordinaire.
Yes, that. Yeah. Bodybuilder,
Just jacked.
Thick, meaty, beautiful man.
knower of things, doer of things,
What is
lover of Tremors.
What is Silverback Lane?
So it's kind of a crime horror thriller. can't reveal too much yet, but as we get closer to it, we'll talk more about Silverback Lane. I get a lead role. I get to work without a mask, so pretty stoked on that. My guy John Turner, New England Home of Horror, Backyard Horror, he wrote this thing. The script is super solid. He writes really good dialogue. A lot of his stuff has like a crime element to it, so I'm pretty stoked on it. The script is phenomenal. We've had, I think, three or four monthly meetups. We do like a Zoom call, kind of keep everybody in the loop, and he's got a good crew assembled. It's going to be a lot of fun.
He's gonna crush it.
It's good.
Keeps sending me stuff like, "Hey, this stuff's going great. Oh, I heard about this. Oh," and I'm like, "All right, so I guess we'll just have to have the director on whenever Silverback Lane is done."
Yeah,
So,
John, he'll come on for sure. He's a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that's our crew. This is going to be a frequent crew of faces. We're always looking for more content creators that would like to come on and talk film with us. On that note, though, we have a major channel announcement where we're having a major shift in the characters on this channel. Mr. Crude here, with everything life has to offer, is taking a step back from Cyber Skull Media. So he's going to still be around. He's going to come on occasionally.
Yes.
He's going to come on occasionally for movie talk, and he may show up in a video here and there, but you'll still be able to find him over on Twitch when he's got some time to game. And, you know, life happens, and we got to let people do what they got to do. So we love Crude. We miss Crude, but he's still going to be around from time to time. So even if it's just hanging out in the chat,
You
we're going to
totally
miss you, Crude.
You missed the golden opportunity to say life finds a way. So throw that in there.
Right? Yeah. Dang it. I missed the punchline.
Jurassic Park deep cut.
Right.
But on that note, with Crude stepping away,
Wait,
we've got
there's more.
Dylan. We've got Dylan stepping in to he's going to start making content with us. So from the Cyber Skull Lounge interviews that we're going to start rolling out to who knows what, aside from, Hall of Fandom, he's going to step in. He also likes spicy stuff. So we've got another channel called Let's Get Spicy, where we're taking our Let's Get Spicy series we've had on here, and we're going to make it its own thing. We just haven't gotten to it yet. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then we've got our coffee and beer channel, Dark Side Brews. So we got a lot of content. We got a lot of stuff planned coming forward in the next year, and some major changes. But I think everything is for the best, and I think everyone's gonna thrive in their new roles. So we're looking forward to it.
Hot.
Have you told Dylan anything about his first challenge yet?
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Oh, Dylan.
Let me say baby and see if that.
Yeah, I ain't scared.
Cast
Yes,
iron.
I have
Raise
mentioned
no
it to him.
bitch.
So we just gotta have that movie night to watch Dave Made a Maze, and then you can get your pacifier. But
Yeah.
but
I'm
yeah,
ready.
so yeah, we're here, and if you're a 3B video fan, you're very familiar with how Dustin's movie discussions go. This is going to be quite different. If you're familiar with our channel and how we've done things in the past, this may be quite different from what we've done. So this is our first time doing it. There could be some technical issues, but we're gonna figure our way out and fumble through this, and it'll get better as we go. So with that being said, I guess we can kind of talk about everybody's introduction to this film, because it's only been around since for like 33 years, something like that. So it's been around for a minute. I remember this is one of the probably the first scary movie that I ever saw that I can recall anyway. We used to have a babysitter that we used to watch like A-Team and stuff after school, and Toy Soldiers. She let us watch Toy Soldiers one time. And I was like,
We
that
done?
movie eluded me. It eluded my brain for so long. Like I could visualize the movie, but I had no idea what it was called for the longest. But this was one that she played that if our parents would have known, probably would have gotten in trouble. But Tremors has always been on my heart since then. And even though there's 7 movies now.
Were your parents Nazis?
No, but very, very traditional Christian.
I'm like,
conservative
holy
household.
moly, Tremors is crossing the line.
So it could have been. But
You
it
just
is
sell
what
them
it
on
is, so-
sell them on Reba McEntire, and then they'll back off.
right.
Hey,
Reba's acting debut was this movie. So, and her music is all throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of just that's what popped my Tremors cherry, if you will.
Dude, just
Graboids
last-
over hemorrhoids, am I right?
Those are the ass blasters. They don't show up until part 3.
I'm gonna
Until
miss those
part
so
3.
much. I'm gonna miss those so much. Let's get him in text.
The rim shot.
I'm gonna come.
Anyway,
All right.
who else? Anyone else have a story about their initial whatever with Tremors?
I'll go because mine's like short and sweet. I honestly cannot remember the first time that I watched it. Like it's just become such a staple of when I see it, I watch it that I can't even remember the first time. I do know that the first movie that probably introduced me to funny type horror or different, which not necessarily saying Tremors fits that type of thing. It does have some humor in it, obviously, I think all kind of horror movies do. But I watched Critters, and then I went on a binge watch of just horror movies, into Jason and Halloween, and I think it just fell into that thing. But I do know that I loved it, absolutely loved it, fell in love with it. So
I don't know anybody. There's 2 movies on the planet that I've never met someone that doesn't like it. One is Shaun of the Dead. I've never met a person who's like, that movie is crap. Not one.
right,
And Tremors. If you watch Tremors, you're like, it's awesome. There's no way around it. It has something for everybody. And kind of going off of what you were saying of not necessarily sure when I saw it but I know I was very young, maybe 9, maybe 10. It seems like it would have been a summer with it being on, because it was always on network TV, like TBS or TNT, during the day. And I'm sure that is where it came into, my world. But it is one of those movies, like you said, if you're channel surfing when you had cable back in the day and you pop into the middle of Tremors or 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, there's 5 minutes left, whatever, you just stop and you just watch it. It's so polarizing because it is so fun. And it's an any time of day movie also. It doesn't go hard in the paint with nudity, or even the violence is pretty fun and slapsticky. So it just happens to be something that you can enjoy, and you don't have to worry if you have young kids or whatever strolling through. They're just it's safe. It's safe entertainment.
right.
It's fairly family friendly. So
Yeah, so that's kind of my introduction to it. Was at the rental store. Picked it up on a VHS rental. My parents were very lenient. I got to watch horror at a young age. Dustin and I talk about this a lot. We were probably watching stuff way too early, but it didn't scar us. It molded us. But kind of like Thundy was saying, if I had company, I had friends over for sleepovers, and I didn't know where their parents fell on that leniency, we'd go and Tremors was the pick. You'd go, I'd expose them to Tremors. Dustin calls it a gateway horror. He and I have kids pretty close in age, and when they were younger, Tremors is that kind of movie. It's pretty much all in the daylight. It's a horror film, but it's funny. It's a creature feature. I picked it up at the rental store. I showed pretty much everybody in my friend group. Tremors was the first movie they saw, when they had a sleepover at my house, just because it was safe. It's a fun family film. They pushed hard. Some of the dialogue sounds cheesy, but that was on purpose. When they call them mother humpers, and they toe the line. You know, they're like, we're gonna almost curse, but we won't. So yeah, that safety net is what made it a pretty hot pick at my house.
Yeah, it's easy. It's an easy
Yep.
choice for sure.
Yeah, that's hard to find.
It is. I mean, you know,
So,
especially if you have friends that like the way you grew up, Thundy. Like if you have friends who aren't necessarily allowed to see those things, you know, and I would have kids that would come spend the night with me, and they'd bring like, I brought the Fox and the Hound, and I'm like, no, you know, that ain't how we get down here. So we're gonna watch something a little more, you know, good. So yeah, I probably
I grew up wearing out Star Wars and Indiana Jones movies. So
there's only one Indiana Jones movie. It's the Temple of Doom. So I don't
Kingdom
know.
of the
that's
Crystal
a prequel, by the way.
I hear that there's other ones, but I don't believe it. So I refuse.
What about you, Shades? You have any history or stories with Tremors you can recall?
I'm about in the same boat as Crude there. Like, I don't really remember first time I seen it. It just been too long ago. Just kind of stuck, and there it was. Like,
Yep.
I remember, for some reason, I remember watching it way back in the day. I think maybe even staying the night with Crude. It's been a long time ago, but other than that, I don't really remember the scary
yeah, 'cause
one.
I think
Like,
once I saw it, I showed it to everybody. I was like, dude.
Yes.
I do actually remember something now. Like I remember this. I remember why I got it. And it was because I did go into first team video, so I do remember that. Right? I know, dude. It's so snappy. And I remember the cover is captivating. The cover of that VHS like thing where it's
Like a
like
beef
the big
jerky
mouth wide
dog.
open. Yeah, and it's like yeah. It's I remember seeing that and I didn't even know it was I was like, I'm gonna watch this. Like I just remember that. But I mean I remember like Critters setting me off out of that, just looking for stuff like that. But I miss movie stores like where you just go in, you see something on a cover and you're like, let's see. You know,
Yeah.
you just take it, go, and you just do it.
First team was so different too, because in my brain, thinking back to when I was little and going into there, like the shelves seemed like they went all the way to the
Oh my
ceiling.
gosh. Yeah. Even
So,
for me. Like I
yeah.
mean, like staring up there. Yeah, absolutely.
It was just eye level for you, but I had to get a step ladder.
Place was awesome. I know that. I miss it. For sure.
I've talked about this before on here. I remember renting from the library here in town. My parents were out of town. Cousin was babysitting, and we went to the library and rented some movies for the weekend to watch. And one my brother rented was like the original like Hobbit cartoon.
Oh, that's
And
scary.
I don't
Man.
remember what I rented, but that's not what was in the box. You want to know what was in the box? Independence Day.
That was a library thing for sure.
Yeah.
That
So
happened.
that didn't happen. But Mr. Groovy Movie says that Kevin Bacon hammer skills are pretty scary, and actually,
yeah, banging on the top of that post. Yeah.
that wasn't scripted that way. That was one of the takes that he took, and that's what they liked the best, and it stuck. So Bert's reaction was completely genuine in that scene because it was improv.
Those are always the best.
gonna
Man.
hit that or
Those are the
what?
ones that stick. Kevin Bacon.
Well, we were talking about how old this movie is. Well, the concept. Any of you familiar with the concept of how this movie even came to fruition?
You mean came to perfection?
But
Ha!
I'm here all week, folks.
I don't.
So the concept was originally conceived in the early 1980s when the writers S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock were working for the Navy. They were filmmakers in charge of creating educational safety videos, and while getting footage, the two were climbing on large desert boulders and asked the question, what if there was something that would not let us off this rock? So that's kind of where it came from. They started brainstorming ideas, and it was originally dubbed Land Sharks.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
Thank
that's-
God they stuck with Tremors.
Thank God they changed the name.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it, I don't think.
No.
Lane
No.
Sharks would have been like
No.
the very first Sharknado or something.
Right.
Oh.
That is a terrible title. I'm.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
Lord.
Terrible title.
Land Sharks.
Yep.
Wow.
But the reason they changed the name was there was a Saturday Night Live sketch named Land Sharks. So they changed the name, and the original screenplay was titled Beneath Perfection. And
Not
again, I'm
bad.
glad they changed it.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
It's not
a good
bad, but
it's a good working title. But
Tremors.
yeah,
It's just
Tremors,
iconic.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
We actually we're at the bar Thursday night, and we were talking about the show tonight, and that we were going to do Tremors, and there was someone sitting there that she's younger than us, but was like had no idea what we were talking about. Had no idea that Tremors was a movie. Thought we were talking about an earthquake, and we were like, "What? What are you
Spider?
talking about?"
I'm joking.
Almost.
I'm
Almost.
joking.
It's a generational
had a-
gap thing, man, for sure.
Like, this movie's fantastic, but
Poor upbringing.
it wasn't well received at the
Yeah.
theater though. So you know,
It's Kevin
um,
Bacon's fault. He hated it.
he did it. He originally hated this movie after he shot it.
That bastard.
But I mean,
I know.
his wife was pregnant while he was on set the entire time.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, it was,
There's that.
but you know, it's fine.
It flopped originally at the box office.
it's
It
kind
had
of
a
funny
$10 million budget.
how, like, you know, because he probably took that gig because he was in between. I mean, because what year did this come out? 91? Was it a 91 movie?
I think it was like
92?
1990.
90. So, like, you know, he had done like Footloose, and he was was he in between like big,
Yeah,
like
he,
you're the man movies,
he wasn't
and-
like a household name yet, really.
Oh,
right?
Almost like when did you sign the contract? You know, was like one
Yeah.
you couldn't get out of anymore. You know, like what, you know,
So,
what
so
happened?
he takes the movie and is, you know, just trying to pay bills probably, and isn't having the best time on set, and is just kind of like, whatever, no one's gonna see it, and then it becomes like a cultural phenomenon, which is it's awesome, but it's just it's a shame he didn't come back for 2 or any of the other ones. I know that they were gonna bring him back, right, for like a TV series or a reboot or something.
They,
And then,
they shot some footage even, I think. I've seen clips of it.
and then it just did not get enough budget or whatever. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Yeah, like the reason it did so well, because like it flopped originally in the theaters. It did so well because of movie rental places. Like movie rental places is why it did so well. Like the
Oh, no,
cover
the cover
and
of that
interested
movie
people.
is catchy. It's catchy, dude.
It's just like
Catches your eye.
it's just like The Thing, you know, when John Carpenter made The Thing, it bombed, and you know, people just weren't ready for it, and then it didn't find an audience until home video. And yeah, Tremors definitely has that, and I think that's like the word of mouth, the rental word of mouth, which sadly doesn't happen now because you just scroll past a thumbnail on whatever streaming platform you have, and if it isn't a good enough thumbnail, you're not going to click it, or if the synopsis isn't captivating enough. But it's just so different from the way it was when we were growing up, because like you said, you would see it and then you would be like, dude, you got to see this, dude, you got to see this, and it kind of becomes this like tidal wave, and your world is so small when you're a kid that you want to share that stuff with people. So you help, like, you know, I show it to you, and then you show it to someone, and then they show it to someone, and then like before you know it, like if I show Dylan something, I've made something travel 15 miles or 20 miles, and then he shows it to someone in another town, and it travels another 20 miles, and then they, you know, it's like this weird little makes your world a little bit bigger, and you can have these conversations with people, and it's kind of wild.
Then you become known as the guy, right? Hey,
Yeah.
what do I need to rent? Oh man, you got to check out Tremors.
Strangeland.
Yeah. Oh,
And I don't know much, like I don't have like good examples of this, but I'm sure this has happened. But like an actor does come out with like a bigger movie and becomes a bigger actor, and then therefore the movies that they were in before or whatever, all of a sudden people will watch it or it catches traction. I don't know if this is an example of that, where you're talking about Kevin Bacon and being in between. Because I mean, once he hit Footloose, I mean, people were just like, yeah, we know
Yeah.
who you are, So, a couple of those things sometimes come into that, but I really think it's that movie cover and stuff like. I mean, I just remember seeing it. I mean, the orange catches your eye like that. It's just crazy.
I don't remember Kevin Bacon until Hollow Man.
Yeah, that was probably my first real.
That was my first DVD.
yep.
Really?
It was like $45 or something.
Options were super limited, man. You could get like Hollow Man, Disturbing Behavior, Cruel Intentions, and She's All That. We're like,
Yeah.
I got a DVD player and I had 4 things to pick from. I bought them all, but
Yeah.
Hollow Man was the standout.
Yep. I remember buying that at Kmart in Red Oak, like buying my DVD player, and it was like this thick and like it weighed like 1,000,000 pounds, and then bought Hollow Man. And I was just like, these menus like move and all this. I was just like blown away by how cool. But yeah.
So that was very similar to my experience. And I had this gorgeous, like at the time it was nice, a 32-inch console TV. You get the DVD player home, and I had no RCA jacks. I'm like, man, what the hell am I supposed to- Then I had to go buy extra shit to plug it in.
It's a good thing you worked at Radio Shack.
Yeah.
That discount.
I'm going to make this work.
I do remember like running over and going, you can just pick what scene you want to watch. There's no fast food. Like I remember that like blowing my mind.
Which
like,
if you watch movies with nudity, that was a blessing.
Pause.
Zoom.
The art of the main menu has been lost.
Oh, for sure.
Everyone's just dialing back the work that they put into those things for sure.
Or just Shrek has so much interactive stuff in their menu.
What?
It's just like people just don't care anymore because everything is on streaming.
What was it, like Super Bad or whatever? He said
Yeah, I was
danced
gonna
for, like
mention that.
actually for whatever
It's like an
time
hour
period.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, he danced for like an hour for the actual part of that DVD.
Yeah,
It's like,
you let it go.
oh my god,
It's not like on a loop. It's him doing different moves for like an hour.
for an hour. Yeah, that's crazy.
And probably what helped too is that it was rated PG-13 and not rated R, because originally they had over 20 or so uses of the word fuck in the movie, and they're like, no, we gotta trim these out. So that's why there's so many like weird, like,
Made up.
we
curse
killed
words.
that mother humper. And stuff like that, weird things that are taking places of cuss words.
Sounds
on
like
purpose.
a TV. Sounds like a TV edit, but it's not. Yeah. How am I gonna get a scar like this eating pineapple, man?
Pineapple, man. Oh, so good. Which actually probably, because a lot of that stuff is the stuff that you remember. You know what I mean? That made it like
Quirky.
Yeah, really a good.
Yeah.
Which is what I think made it in people's playing fields. Like people who didn't necessarily like horror, you still had like the comedy and the stuff over here. I mean, like it made it in everybody's field, I think.
I also
No matter
think
what.
the fact that it has a lot of the people, when you see them, sometimes you don't necessarily know their names, but you're like, it's that guy. It's that, it's a lot of really talented character actors getting to just kind of chew the scenery and go kind of as big as they want to. Like you've got the kid who plays Melvin, and is that Wonder Years?
No, so I was going to bring this up. It's like a Mandela effect. I always thought it was Jason Harvey from Wonder Years.
Okay, yeah, but it's not, is it?
No, it's a completely different kid.
Jesus, looks just like him.
I know, right? So his only other like acting credit to speak of is in Can't Hardly Wait. He's one of the fake gangsters.
Does he come back in one of the other Tremor movies, though?
Yes. He's like a real estate guy or something. He's he's in the suit in I can't remember which one it is, part 2 or 3. But yeah, Melvin is not the guy I thought he was.
You just blew my mind right now.
Well, we
No,
can segue that into talking a little bit more about the cast if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Fred
man,
Ward, baby.
poor guy. I always refer to him as Egg Shen because Big Trouble in Little China is like one of my all-time favorite movies. But the grandpa from Three Ninjas,
Walter Chang.
yes,
Love him.
yep.
Love him.
Victor Wong is his real name. The poor
Walter
guy.
Chang.
Walter Chang.
And like, dude, and all the
Blasphemy.
times I've seen this movie, whenever he's on, I'm like, that's Egg Shen. And my kids and my wife are like, we know. Like, we're aware.
You say that every time, Dad.
Yeah. I do.
Did you know who they originally wanted to cast in that role?
I do not. Kerry Takanawa.
Oh no.
Wax
Oh.
off.
Marita.
Wax off.
That's
Yeah,
what I-
yes.
That's what I would. figure.
Nice.
He was originally asked to be cast in that role, but he didn't work with their budget.
Mm,
Can you imagine how different this movie would have been?
yeah, he's got them deep pockets, man. He's got them Karate Kid 3 pockets. He even
Gosh.
he even did the next Karate Kid, which we don't like to talk about, but
Never seen it.
Once again, doesn't exist.
Yep. Hilary Swank.
Doesn't exist.
Well,
That's such a weird
but-
movie.
Because what
So-
was really interesting was all these actors were cast through open auditions, which is rare, especially these days. So
Well,
there's a lot of like people who would have been interesting that they were going to try to cast that they either didn't get the role or didn't want the role or things of that nature.
well, Michael Gross was pretty big, but like to go from TV to the big screen, Family Ties was like the biggest series of its time. And
Absolutely.
he rolled right into the Burt Gummer role, which he held for
Going from
30
nice
years.
little TV dad to badass prepper.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and he was even, because he was the main focus of the TV series that lasted that
Yep.
2 seasons or whatever. So, I mean, he got 7 movies and a TV series, which is pretty badass. And he's kind of like the quintessential everyman. I mean, of course, he's like an army guy and, has all the guns and all the know-how. But like in terms of looks, he's not like a super jacked,
No.
action hero. But
America.
Right.
yeah, which is really cool to see a guy who looks like a guy you could bump into at like Ace Hardware
Very
being-
believable.
being your lead, and he's so charismatic. And that's what I think that's what makes, I know it works for my son. That's what makes my son like these movies is that he's so likable and he's not like your Schwarzenegger or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that being like a leading man type, but it's just different because it works on such a realistic level, and it's again quirky and silly, and you put your entire faith in Burt Gummer.
Well, that's
Like-
the big spin, like Fred Ward's not back, Kevin Bacon's not coming back, Reba's not coming back. Like normally that would be a death note for a series, and then they're like, well, Burt Gummer's our guy, and
Mhm.
he takes this whole thing and he becomes the man, and this thing gets 7 movies in a series. So
Yeah,
And you would never think that watching the first one that would be where you would end up. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, he's just an
Where it would've went,
ensemble
like-
piece. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
because it took.
There's a reason he's on the overlay.
Well, it took what 3 years for them to make a sequel.
Yep.
So I mean, it's obvious that it wasn't like planned that they were going to make another one. It was just a Universal movie, like let's make a movie and see what it'll do, and it made some money, and but not initially didn't make money, which is why we didn't get a sequel originally. It had to hit the long leg tour of video rentals for Universal to even think, yeah, let's do it again. So, but yeah, it's a good thing it made a ton of money because we're still talking about Tremors today.
that's the sad thing though that we don't see anymore with the demise of the rental platform. Video stores, rental platform, straight to video was a viable option. As movie fans, or specifically horror fans, to get all these sequels, it was on the strength of direct to video. They could recoup their money as well or even better going straight to the video market. as opposed to, it doesn't have to hit theaters to make its money. So you can have 10, 7, 8, 9, 12 movies in a series because of that strength. But
Yeah,
that's a lost platform.
Yeah, that's why guys like Charles Band from Full Moon Entertainment, that's how everybody saw like a Puppet Master or whatever, because they took a chance at some shitty little mom and pop video store and rented one of those movies. And it's stuff like that that made Charles Band be able to have a movie company. So yeah, without that, you just scroll right past it and nobody makes any money, and we don't get a prime example of recent history is the new Turtles movie. You and I are both massive fans of that.
Yeah.
And they put a ton of money into marketing, like all the new toy line and all that stuff. But that movie tanked, and it was left open for a sequel because they were like, it's a sure bet. We're going to make a sequel. Like, it's Ninja Turtles. How can we not make money off this IP? And it tanked, and now they're like, not going to do one. Not going to do another one. But they took the little money they made, and now they're getting like a Nickelodeon series, a little Nickelodeon TV series to try and keep, so we can sell these goddamn toys and lunch boxes, and because they went hard and
something.
Yeah. So got to keep it around long enough to get rid of that merch to see if,
And see, that's what made the old cartoon a hit, though. When the Eastman and Laird put it out as a comic and it did okay, and then Playmates put out the toys, and then they made a series basically to sell the figures, and now it's a phenomenon. But the roles are reversed.
Why don't we have Tremors toys? What's up? We got 7 movies and no toys.
Right, that'd be dope. I need some Graboid toys.
I know. There are people on Etsy who sell like the severed Graboid head on a wall plaque, like how he has in his rec room in the sequel. But they're like, I think they're like $600, and I'm like, I can't justify buying a Graboid head for that kind of money. But yeah, we need a play set. We need something.
Yep.
Where's our 7-inch Graboid? Come on, NECA. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Figure out how to put out a littler version. Where do we get rights to this?
They're not the ones you're thinking of.
I'm gonna come.
No.
Oh. And we've lost Crude.
About. Nope. No.
Now, something I wanted to point out was, how unexpected it is that Reba McEntire's in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, she's one of the last people you would expect to be in a horror movie, especially for her acting debut.
Yeah, to get bit by the acting bug. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of odd.
And Ron Underwood admitted that he was uninterested with casting Reba McEntire because he was so tired of celebrities being shoehorned into films and thought it was gimmicky. But after letting her audition, he was blown away by her acting ability and apologized and immediately offered her the role.
I mean, how could she not play like a Southern shit kicker? You know what I mean? She's kind of perfect for that.
They were kind of a good little duo, and
oh my god,
like,
yeah.
Oh man, I mean, it was a perfect combination. So
yep, that's why
that was believable.
And it's heartbreaking in all the sequels because she's not there. And then they work that into the lore of him. He's so obsessed with the Graboids and whatnot that she just couldn't fucking take it. And it just it gives his character another little nuance of tragedy. So it's kind of a blessing that she didn't come back, but she's phenomenal in this movie.
She's a great actress.
Yeah. She chews the scenery big time.
Her music's playing in the car when the doctor gets attacked and they get drug under. It's playing at the end. It's like, I mean, why not? Why not?
I guess I didn't even think about that. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
You have to for her, that was just like well, if we're gonna have music, it's gonna be my music. Put it in there.
Yeah, I'd imagine that her record label was owned by Universal, so it was easy to.
Oh yeah.
Didn't have any hoops to jump through as far as that goes, but yeah, I don't know. I have nothing negative to say about her performance at all. They have a really good chemistry, so yeah, it works perfect for me.
said it was believable that they would be together, kind of thing in the movie. So,
Well, in the little bit where she kind of is in charge, you can tell that she wears the pants. They're this kind of survivalist couple, and she gives the orders. So
not strong woman.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Strong female lead or whatever.
Yep.
I see those shirts like strong female character. She was the OG. Goddammit.
So now we talked about Kevin Bacon a little bit already. Like originally he resented being in Tremors, and he only agreed to do it because he needed money for his new marriage and unborn child. And he thought it killed his career initially. And he was so upset. And now he's like, it's the single most fun movie I've been involved with my entire career. But I can't imagine, like, after everything you've done, you're only doing this movie because you need the money, and then it flops at the box office. How you would feel,
Yeah,
just have a
hindsight's
newborn, and
2020. So he can, and it's you see that a lot in the convention scene, which you kind of have to, right? If you do a movie when you're in your like early 20s or whatever that you are just doing for a paycheck and you don't think anyone's ever going to really see. So you take it and you're pissy the whole time because you're only doing it because you need money. And you're like, I can't believe my career is like this. And then the movie bombs. So you have even more reason to be irritated about your experience and where you were in life. But it picks up traction. And then people start going, man, I love you in Tremors. And you have to go, it was great. You have to, that whole PR, like, well, I mean, go to Tremors reunion conventions and whatnot. And in a way, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're like, I'm just fucking dealing with this movie so I can pay my light bill or whatever, and you see that a lot. You see guys who just hated being in some movie, but then like they got to jump on that PR train. And it's maybe he does like it, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe his original reaction to the movie is probably the most true. But you gotta kiss some hands and shake some babies. So
yeah, because I mean, the whole like me not wanting to do the movie, or me not liking the movie, probably didn't change too much just because the movie turned around and then did well. He's like, I still feel that way about it. I'm just glad it did good. So it helps break that emotional like.
Yeah, and every time he walks to his mailbox, he's probably a nice little residual check, so he gets to kind of live off of that. So thank God it started doing well, because otherwise your checks would be like pennies on the dollar, and he's probably making
a reminder every single
Right.
year.
Right.
Like a 2-cent check
every quarter or whatever. I don't know how often. I don't get residual checks, so I don't know, but
Not yet.
someday.
Yeah,
Not yet.
one of these days.
Now there were several different people who they were considering for that part or offered the part to. 3 of the most interesting names that I came across were Bill Paxton, Ray Liotta, and one of all of our favorites, Bruce fucking Campbell.
Nice. I think if Ray Liotta was the lead, there would be a whole lot more cocaine in the movie. I feel like he would definitely be like just sweating and just all coked out the whole movie for sure. But if Bruce is interesting though. I
think I read Chuck Norris too somewhere. I don't know if that was a legit.
Wow. Just roundhouse kicking graboids.
I know that Chuck Norris or Clint Eastwood were the initial inspirations for Burt.
Let's get a sequel where we have 97-year-old Clint Eastwood battling graboids.
Oh man.
I saw Cry
What if
Macho. I don't want to see him do anything else on camera.
Hey, he's got a sci-fi coming out.
Who,
Is he
Eastwood?
in it?
No, Norris. Chuck
Oh.
Norris, my bad.
Oh, okay.
Chuck Norris
I'm cool with-
has a sci-fi movie coming out.
Chuck is still
making
tough,
movies.
even though he's old.
Clint's still directing.
Yeah.
So that's a sore subject. I don't know if any of you saw Cry Macho. Did you see that movie?
Mm-mm.
Did you see the new Rambo? Saw the last Rambo movie? So
I
Cry
did.
Macho is essentially the last Rambo movie, but with Clint Eastwood. And he's so old and so frail. He like gets into a fist fight and he's like hitting a guy. And no matter how you shoot it, no matter how you try and speed it up, he's still 95 years old trying to punch a drug cartel guy in the face. And you're like,
It's just not believable.
It was sad because I wanted to love it. And I'm looking at, I'm like, man, if this was 20 years ago, absolutely. But don't go out like this, man. Like it's, it's rough.
It reminds me of some of the Undertaker's last matches. It was just like, this is hard to watch, man.
Yeah. So tough.
Well, he had two interesting quotes that I really liked about the movie. He said, "Funny/scary is very, very difficult thing to do." And then he said, his summation of the movie was ordinary people dealing with extraordinary circumstances. So sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that hits right on what Dustin was saying with Bert. I mean, they're just your everyday guys and women, and they just take care of fucking business.
There's a murderer, man, a real psycho. He's running around cutting people's heads off.
Well, I guess on that note, we can move into talking about some of the props and things of that nature, if you'd like, because there was quite a bit of interesting information along these lines.
I was trying to think about this earlier today, and I couldn't even come up with like ideas of how. So I'm interested. Like, this is more like me watching it for like, Dad, tell me what happened. Like I couldn't even think of it. I didn't want to look it up either because I kind of wanted to have like this just reaction to it.
Well, it was filmed about 3 hours from LA, out in the middle of nowhere around Lone Pine, California, and alongside an isolated community called Darwin, California. Like there wasn't even enough space to put the crew up anywhere on this place. Everything you see on the set was built in about 2 months. There was only 2 interior sets in the entire movie: Walter's store and Bert and Heather's basement. Every other shot is exterior. And they were just like, they were buying, the set guy was buying shacks and stuff that they saw alongside the road to disassemble and reassemble on set so that they had a town. Because if you go there now, there's nothing there. It's empty. But and they had a lot of issues because despite filming in the desert, the very first day that they started shooting, it snowed.
Of course.
It snowed. So
that's how it is.
They didn't get much footage, and then every other day after that was like 105 degrees.
Yeah. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong constantly.
Filming some pickup shots at the end of April in Liberty, Missouri, and it's 30 degrees.
Will happen. Then the weekend after, it was like 70.
Yeah.
It was practically snowing, and we're all outside and like trying to shoot a guy in a wife beater get killed by a mongoloid, and it was fucking freezing.
Yes, it will happen.
You can't tell we're cold. You can't tell anyone's cold.
Now, there were quite a few troubles that were present on set at this time. So I have a clip for you guys that we can watch. What's up, Nick? Welcome to the show. Glad to see you. I got a clip for us to see. I will get it rolling here. It kind of talks about, it's about 1 minute and 11 seconds. Some of the troubles that they had on set. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with things going wrong on set. So just doing some of the Mikey shorts we've done, there's been stuff that's went wrong. I can't imagine with a feature-length film what could all happen, especially shooting in the desert. So if there's anything you'd like to discuss while I get this pulled up on that note, feel free.
Does the Graboid rust and not work? It's gonna have to be, some very Jurassic Park, or not Jurassic Park, some Jaws level BS happening, I'd imagine, with weather and all that stuff just
causing practical,
causing a factor for sure.
probably bought the what is it, like animatronics from Jaws. They're like, let's just shove a bunch of tentacles.
We got the Wish animatronic set.
All right, now if you guys can
Shock
hear this,
off level
let me
shit.
know.
All right.
But here we go.
Tremors was difficult, but it was exhilarating. What sticks in your head, of course, are the days where things were terrifying and falling apart
It was a lot of trial and error on camera.
with monsters and machinery that was susceptible to the dirt and forever breaking down.
It was so few hours and so little light.
We had one gentleman who had a heart attack, and he lived. He was fine.
Never know what the problem's going to be.
I think I started grinding my teeth back then.
And it was hot, and it was dusty.
Chang's at one point actually got hit by a dust devil, and it actually moved it about 25 feet off of its spot.
There was plenty of pumice and sand that we ate.
Choking dust and goggles and respirators.
There are snakes that live out there, and we hired a snake wrangler.
There was this huge rattlesnake coiled right underneath the craft service table. And without a moment's hesitation, he just put all of thoughts of himself aside and grabbed this snake, picked it up, and walked out to the hills with it.
It definitely brought us together. I remember having a really fun time.
We had one telephone on the set, and it was there primarily because Kevin Bacon's wife was pregnant.
So you could say that they had some interesting issues on set.
Oh, for sure.
Heart
But I
attack.
mean, so the one thing that stands out to me is because you said like 90% of the film is exteriors. Anyone who knows anything about filming in an exterior circumstance is wind, different microphone. You know what I mean? So
Wildlife.
locusts,
Locusts were a problem. Birds.
yeah, anything. Yeah. So you're not dealing with traffic out in the desert, but yeah, if the wind is too much, you're blowing out audio. No matter what you do, there's I mean, you can use flags and things like that to try and combat it, but I'd imagine a lot of the exterior audio is ADR'd. And now that I am thinking about that, the next time that I watch the movie, I'm going to be paying extra close attention for ADR. And for anybody in the audience that doesn't know what that means they're going to record the audio for that sequence in a studio and try and match it up to the footage that they shot. So you're kind of like, you're not lip syncing, but you're trying to match your cadence and everything months later, which is tricky. So yeah, that
what is flagging it?
So if you so you can get like a wind block. I mean, if you're doing it cheaply, you can just take a giant piece of cardboard and let's say, the wind is coming from this direction. So you'll flag this way so the wind can't hit the mic, and just try and get it as close to your actor as possible. Yeah. So you have to, just come up with any creative way you can to stop the wind from hitting the microphone. But I'd also imagine that with heat, your cameras are going to malfunction. There's a lot, I know we all have smartphones. Everybody knows if you're outside on a summer day, and it might not even be like a hot summer day. It could be in the 80s. But if your phone is out and the sun is hitting it, you may get that thing that pops up that's like, hey, your phone's overheating, cool it down or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a camera that runs hot anyway, and then you're having heat from the sun. Those big cameras are, metal casings and whatnot. The sun is just baking them, which can ruin the film because you're shooting on film. So that's a whole headache in and of itself. I would not want anything to do with that. So, yeah, extreme heat and extreme cold are going to really cause problems. So,
yeah, and just think of how many maybe great takes you had, or how many things, and then you figured out that that's what ruined it, or something else ruined it. How, and then mentally what that does to you.
Because you're doing it over and over again. But
I'm sure you guys know now after working on, well, and everything else, but I could only imagine you know, like when I'm trying to do something and I have it all set up like a program or something like that with streaming, and then all of a sudden you go to start it up, you know, the stream or whatever it is, and everything's all messed up, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? Like I spent hours on this to make it perfect.
And those are like low stake situations. But imagine you're shooting in a desert and all those exterior scenes, there's a lot of panic. There's a lot of running. There's a whole lot of not necessarily action, but Dylan can attest because he had to wear pounds and pounds of silicone.
Yeah.
In the evening, even. So it'd still be like 80 degrees, but like you're in the sun. It's 105 degrees, like they're saying. And, you know, you're running from one building to the next building or whatever. You're climbing a ladder. You're jumping down into the back of a truck, whatever it is you're doing. And you're doing it multiple times in that heat. I mean, it'll kick your ass for sure.
How many buildings are you tearing down, having to build back up, tear down, build back up, you know, for whatever the reason? Yeah, just thinking about that now.
Now, Dylan is used to being under a bunch of silicone and stuff. A lot of the Graboids were animatronics and puppeted by people. So I got another little clip for you here, that I will pull up that briefly talks about that, and then I got some footage we can look at.
Okay.
Imagine what Tom Woodruff went through. It's hard to describe. The first few times we did these burst up moments, we buried Tom alive for up to an hour.
Whoa.
You want to get buried alive for up to an hour in this Tremors costume?
No, not a chance in hell.
So I caught that Tom Woodruff is a legend. You know, not a household name, but anybody that knows about makeup and practical, Tom Woodruff has done some amazing stuff. I think, was he the Gill Man in Monster Squad, Dustin?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that guy knows suffering. I mean,
that's head to toe. I mean,
yeah, like that, and that thing was super tight and super thick, and yeah. So the name Tom Woodruff, when I hear that, you know, that's a guy that, like I said, not a household name, but commitment to his craft. He's a legend.
I couldn't imagine an hour inside of a big, it wasn't silicone, but yeah.
I get stuck in a chair that I don't want to be in for an hour, dude. I'm uncomfortable and pissed off. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, someone, Mr. Evil Dead, is in the chat and dropped one of our favorite lines.
Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you, you bastard?
What's up, Evil?
Evil Dead Inc.
What's up, Evil?
Hey, Evil.
For anyone,
I've got another fun clip about the monster design, but yeah, go ahead. Tell us about Evil.
I was going to say, for anyone in the chat who does not know, Evil is my co-host, my cohort, my brother from another mother on the 3B video channel. He is my everything, my only thing. So just showing love to the homie.
Yeah, I have killed him not once, but twice on film. So he's got to carry that with him for the rest of his life.
We're going to die, clown. All right, let's see what you got up here.
Yeah.
So everyone knows kind of what this Graboid might resemble.
Yes.
There was one bump in the road. Originally, the Graboid, which has this strange beak, they decided it would probably protect itself with a kind of fleshy covering.
But someone said, this is not going to be a movie about giant dicks chasing people through the desert.
And geeky guys that we were, we said, no, it's the monster. It's the monster.
Wow. Man, that's one big mother.
But it's hard, given what you're doing, not to immediately think of a penis. You know, I mean, what do you make the head of the thing look like?
We learned our lesson, and we were grateful for that observation.
Oh, yeah, it's very phallic.
Yes.
Very phallic.
I mean, it doesn't have the Predator's pussy mouth. I don't know if I can say that. I'm saying that. Yeah. You know, the Predator, the inside of the Predator's mouth literally looks like a vagina. So this is close, but you know, I mean, you can get away with it. because it's unique in its own way with those little like the little black I don't know what you call those. Like they're not scales, the things that help them move.
Yeah.
The barbs or whatever that come up from it. Yeah. So
Cubes, yeah. The 5 o'clock.
here's some of the animatronics. Because aside from the puppetry, there was some animatronics. And I feel like this is a lost art form now too. Everybody uses CGI. No one makes animatronics anymore.
Oh, that's cable operated for sure. That's amazing. Probably got like a dude on the other side of that fence. Yeah.
Yep.
Pulling a little cable.
You do better than that.
Dude.
See, they're back behind it, working it. 3 people. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how well it moves and everything too. How articulate that it is.
So that's a 3 cable system, right? You got up and down, and then you've got left and right. So you've got a person controlling left, you got a person controlling right, and you got a person controlling the up.
Yeah, so with that mechanism, you don't have to see like hinges. You know what I mean? Like it can move serpentine without having like specific bend points. It looks fluid.
Yep. Yeah, I see they got like a curve or whatever every inch or so. That's excellent.
And then there's someone inside it doing some puppet work.
That would be me if we made it today. Get in there.
See, so he was in here buried in the desert forever, hour at a time. Like
that's straight up like egg foam mattress, like inch or 2 inch thick mattress foam, coiled. Oh boy, yeah, you would be so hot.
Oh man, yeah.
Wowza.
He's wearing like a
some
water
really cool
backpack,
footage.
and all of that stuff. Like
just the detail, man.
Looks like Jabba the Hutt.
Give it up for the artwork and stuff. I mean, I know that.
Oh yeah.
Dylan, because think about how many of those they probably had to make. And the ones that got destroyed and just like.
Oh yeah, because you'd have to make multiple because
you have like your hero model, then just the head, a full body.
Yep, and in case it gets torn in transport or something stupid happens and it's ripped, so you have to have multiple copies just in case. Because if you don't have multiple copies, you're just fucking yourself.
Yeah, because eventually, if they made it like out of what, like rubber, or something like that, like. That added probably to the heat.
Oh yeah, and the weight.
I mean, oh my gosh, yeah, dude.
Because that thing's like 6 foot, like just the head when the guy's puppeting it or whatever. That's a lot of.
And then there was lots of miniatures.
Tires.
Also a lost art for sure.
There's a lot of miniatures in this. In fact, the final scene where they bust out. Is filmed on a parking lot.
Nice. Forced perspective and miniatures and all the good stuff.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's absolutely a lost art. And you're right. Nowadays it would just be, I mean, and the later Tremors movies are a testament to that because they didn't have the budget. So you'll see CGI graboids a lot. You may have a couple of hero shots where you have a practical effect, but
it's not the same.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's a 3D model of some sort being comped into a scene. And there's something so special about like a tangible item being on the screen. Imagine the Rec Room sequence if it was a CGI Tremor, well, it wouldn't be the same.
Speaking of CGI, I've got a clip about that.
Oh no. I will.
There is no CG in the movie. There is, I believe, 1 or 2 opticals in the movie.
I think CGI is way overused because it's such an easy way to solve problems and such a crutch that you can use. It's like an antibiotic. You've got to use it carefully. Otherwise, it's going to have no effect.
Spoken like a true genius. Yeah,
I figured Dustin would have quite a bit to say about that.
Yeah, I'm slowly kind of getting like over myself, like over my old man, like shakes hand at cloud. You can't use CGI, but like there has to be a fine balance. We're in a new age where anybody can have Adobe After Effects. Anyone can have Premiere. Anyone can. Blender is free. You can do all of these crazy things and you don't even necessarily have to have gone to school for it, or you can watch a couple of YouTube tutorials and create a 3D model and comp it into a scene, really, with just putting in a few hours. But there's something special about spending the time on a creature design, sculpting it, making a mold of it, pulling the mold, painting it, and then getting it to move on camera. And I know that it's expensive and it takes a lot of time, but when you want something to look good, you invest your time so that even if it's only on screen for 20 seconds, they are a good 20 seconds. And that becomes the argument now with CGI, where people go, well, it's only a 2-second shot. Who cares? And it should never be that way.
They start using it
I
for
can
blood.
bring you a good 20 seconds.
We're going to do it twice. What were you saying, Dylan?
Oh, it drives me nuts that they use it for blood, right? Like,
yeah,
movie blood is like, I don't know how many gallons we ended up using, but prop blood is the simplest thing, and it always looks good on screen. The wet look, the light captures off of it. Everything looks better when it's legit. And I see these movies where they try to CGI the blood, and it fails every time.
It's always super shiny and weird looking.
It doesn't look right.
Doesn't have any weight or viscosity to it. That's also a big issue. But yeah, if you marry it, you can make it work. And like a prime example of something like that would be to use practical blood. Let's say you have a knife wound. So you have a prop knife that only has 1/2 inch of a blade and it's flat. So you can go through and digitally add the tip to the knife. So when they stab someone in the chest, but then you have a prosthetic that has a blood tube. So when they hit their mark, someone squeezes a tube and blood pumps out. So you're marrying a slight digital effect, which is enhancing a practical effect. And that's how it should be done, as opposed to this blood is CGI, the knife is CGI, the wound is CGI. And it's, and also with that is you never know what you're going to get, because someone can promise you, hey, I can do this. And so when you're shooting, you're going, we'll fix it in post. And then post comes and whoever said they could do it is like, well, I meant from this angle, or I meant from this or this or this. And so you get some hodgepodge bullshit half-ass effect that just doesn't sell. When if you would have taken 20 extra minutes prepping for that one shot, you could have, avoided all the problems. So I'm a big time believer in get it in camera, and you can tweak it and adjust and add some seasoning to it in post, but should be all there when you're looking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Before we jump to CGI, can we do this? Is it practical that we can do this? And
yeah,
let's try.
Yeah,
that was a behind the scenes thing where like we tried, we failed, we couldn't do it. I had to see, you could at least respect it.
Yeah, or Jurassic Park, the raptor legs, they're practical legs, but then there's an actor's calf like sticking out of the back that's in a green screen, so that they can digitally remove that. So then you actually have practical legs moving, but it's being aided by CGI. It's not a CGI leg. They have weight. They bend when they touch the floor and things like that. And that's the kind of, it's like, you gotta be like a scientist. You gotta be a magician when you're doing all that stuff, So,
because if you're not good at keeping it smooth, then it's almost like they're floating. The steps are like floating, or like a moonwalk type feel situation to it. And you can tell when something's CGI when you see a car like hit the road and roll, and it's like, it's kind of just planing. across it, you know? When
Yeah.
it's like, how hard is it to go find a junk car that looks the same? Throw that thing down the road. Let's call it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get that it's not that easy, but I lose a lot of respect for certain movies when that stuff happens, especially big budgeted things, you know, that have to do with vehicles and things like that. I'm like, you could have.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You could have wrecked a car, or you could have done this. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Dukes of Hazzard jumped a freaking car from the bottom up onto a bridge.
Yeah,
like,
you can,
crashed the crap out of it.
and you should.
Yeah,
And
it would be awesome.
Yeah, and that's just going to be, you know, that'll forever be the argument. Is like they need to coexist. One does not supersede the other. Although, you know, but they need to work together. And there has to be a happy medium of making it work.
Yeah, because Resident Evil was an example of the weapon thing. You know, I think they had like poles or something, and they put the blades actually on it or something as a CGI. But that still gave you the realism of like, you know, they still had like something in their hands that they had to work with and had to use, and therefore brought, you know, some realisticness to it, or movement wise, it was good.
Right.
So. And that's where you're talking about, you know, marrying those things together, where it makes it look real. You know, it makes it look more realistic. So,
for sure.
And one of the scenes like that was where they're under the ground moving. Like anymore, they would just easily go, "Oh, we're just gonna make that CGI." But do you know how they got that effect?
I have an idea. I'm probably not correct. I'm going to say it's something like what they use in what Sam Raimi invented for Evil Dead, which he called the Ramo Cam, which basically he built like a box around his camera so he could ram it through car windows and things like that. So what I'm assuming is they built a like a box that's filled with like whatever, like planting soil or whatever. And I'm assuming they had a camera encased in some sort of a box or plexiglass thing, and they just push it through this loose dirt. Something of that nature is how I would assume. But
you're talking about like the over the top view or both, Sunday?
I was talking about like the above ground view when you're watching them go through and it like the wave. The underground stuff, yeah, I remember looking at some stuff like that, but I can't seem to find it in my notes. I don't know if I found how they actually shot that. But the part where you see them, they actually dug a trench and they buried they towed a boat buoy behind a pickup truck through the loose dirt.
Oh, nice. That's thinking on your feet. Because I was going to say, what could it have been, like some sort of a tube that was inflatable?
And they just made it bigger, like throughout, you know, as you pull something through it just pushes the dirt up as it goes. I mean, they probably could have found something to work like that too.
Yeah.
That's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's cool. And think how much fun that would have been on the set. Him just ramming that truck.
And that's like the $1.50 solution. You know what I mean? That's when you got a person who really, really understands, like, we're going to put this on camera. We don't have to go crazy with money. We don't have to do anything weird. We can just drag something under the ground and it'll give us the effect we're looking for. And that's the kind of stuff that, you know, makes for a really interesting, good effect as opposed to an average looking effect. Because that's phenomenal. I had no idea, but that makes so much sense. And it's like, well, yeah, why would you do it any other way? Right?
Yeah.
There's definitely some footage out there too of it briefly. Like, you have to be very creative. We're lacking some of this creativity because now it's like everything's shot in a room that's covered in green screen, or like The Mandalorian where there's a big screen surrounding you and hardly anyone's in the same room shooting stuff. Now, back then you're in the desert. It's 110 out. How are we going to make this work? You know?
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about the Graboids, at least in the first movie, is no one knows where they came from. It's never explained, and
my money
it
was on
kind
outer
of a
space.
mystery. That was one of the first the first versions of it was
They're
that it was going to be
Precambrian.
from outer space.
My son would kick my ass if I didn't say that. They're Precambrian.
Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Prehistoric.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
No, I like that. They don't have to waste any time doing like exposition that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just is. There they are. How are we going to fight them?
See, and that's the most entertaining form of storytelling for me is when you don't beat the audience over the head with explanations. And I always use this as an example. Freddy versus Jason is a movie that I think is super fun, but it literally feels like it's written in crayon. It's like every 2
Real,
minutes. Every 2 minutes, it's well, this guy kills you in your dreams. How do we not dream? Or this guy kills you when you're at the lake. How, like, it's just constant. We got to get them to fight each other. We got like blah, blah, blah. And it's 90% of the dialogue, and you're like, fuck me, I get it. They're gonna fight. I get it. So
I understand.
yeah, I'm not 5. I get it, dude. So with this movie, not explaining where they come from, not explaining, any of their origin and why exactly they're imperfection and even why they hunt by sound, really. Like, we don't really go into all that detail. That's usually what sequels are for. Sequels really kind of rip into that and add to the lore or whatever, or attempt to build lore. But sometimes less is more. You don't necessarily need to know everything about your villain or whatever, because it's more interesting to be dropped in the middle of a situation.
That's what I love about 2 and 3. Yeah, so in 2 and 3, they just have a different version of the Graboid, right? Like, it's got different cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of making a whole sequel digging into the history of the creature from the first movie, they're like, well, these do this. And then
Molts or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, then we got ass blasters, and they kept growing the storyline and not just rehashing the same old story.
Mm-hmm.
truth. And I think there's a scene, if I'm not mistaken, where they're in the store and he's like, where did they come from? And he's like, who cares? We're gonna kill them or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he said
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, and they just it's like they're almost like mocking the fact that like they're never gonna just tell you where they came from. Like,
and that doesn't come up until the sequel. That's what I was saying. Like, my money was on outer space. Like, because they do the whole Precambrian talk. But that's really as far as we get, to be honest, in the entire franchise. We don't ever go like super hard into origin story.
Well, the studio actually didn't like that, and so they were making him write a scene about Bert finding a UFO and eggs, but they're like, no, that's terrible, that's stupid, we're not doing that.
Thank Christ.
Well, that's like lazy filmmaking, right? They'd bring in a scientist, and the scientist he'd be researching and know all this nonsense, and they'd shoehorn in a character and add 20 minutes to the movie, and you just lose a lot of the lore and the fun by bringing in the lowbrow, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Really, all you need is interesting characters in peril. And that's what separates this from traditional cannon fodder character horror movies, slasher movies. Everybody knows all these people are toast. It doesn't matter if you like them or if you dislike them, they're all going to die. And then there's going to be the one person who saves the day, or possibly two. But when it comes to Tremors, it's a very small community. Everybody is likable. Even Melvin is likable. He's a idiot kid. You know what I mean? Like, as a parent, you're like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot, but I'd save him or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. They're a small, tight-knit community,
Yeah. And you love them all. And so when something bad happens, so it does have some funny things that happen, but like the threat is real. So like their friend, we don't ever
stakes are high. You believe it.
We don't ever really get introduced to old Fred, but knowing that old Fred, they talk to him every day. They say something to him every day, just by a couple of lines of dialogue that doesn't feel like they're beating you over the head with it. And then when he's dead, that kind of like sets the whole thing into motion. Like, it's done perfectly. It's executed perfectly.
Well, they create a lot of tension from like innocence. So Mindy on the pogo stick, right?
God.
Like, the vibration is going to send these things coming. You know, she's this innocent girl bouncing around. Like there's a lot of tension. There's a lot
Yeah.
of suspense in a movie filmed in the daylight with this creature, and there's still a lot of tension and fear.
Daylight horror is tricky.
It is.
It's very tricky. So
They're very
and that's why
Yeah, that's so
well
weird.
done.
The whole thing's shot in the daytime, you know, and it's a horror movie.
the opener, like, so the pogo stick thing, which this I just made a correlation in my brain. So the pogo stick scene and then the Kentner boy scene in Jaws.
Mhm.
They're kind of, you know, that's broad daylight, people around, things happening, and tragedy. Like the little girl in Tremors obviously does not die, but like we're building you, we're giving you that tension, and it makes me think of the Kentner boy in Jaws.
And there's not a moment when Mindy's bouncing that you're like, they're not going to kill the. You think legit like she could go either way.
Mhm.
For a PG-13 daylight horror film, you still have the fear that she could go. Like nobody's safe. They could kill anybody.
Yeah, because I mean, you never knew if they were like maybe not going to show it necessarily, but like all of a sudden the pogo stick just like does a fall over and she's like not there. The hole fills in. You're just like, what? You're waiting for something like that because you didn't know whether it was going to.
Yeah. Well, and especially since all of us saw it when we were younger, you don't have that like built-in, film radar. Like we all kind of know, like, they're not going to kill the kid. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. Like, but that comes from years and years and years of experience of watching these types of movies. But when you're like a 9-10-year-old kid watching this movie, that'll get you, and that's, it works perfect. And like you said, had it not been a PG-13 movie, that a lot of that would have been lost, because a lot of that, if it was an R-rated film, an R-rated audience, grown-ups are a little savvy, and so it really works for kids.
Well,
It's
like
perfect.
what Crude was saying, you think about the Pet Cemetery. They don't show little Gage Creed. They show the bloody sneaker, and that has more weight than actually seeing the kid on screen die.
Yeah.
So same thing. They could have left evidence of Mindy, but there was a lot of suspense. It could have happened. Like I still, even when I watch it now, I'm like, I get tense. I know she's not going to die, but like you still feel like it could happen.
Well, because I mean, then you think about other movies. If the kid dies, then the mom's all like crazy, confused. I mean, like, and then they're trying to save her, but something dumb. I mean, like, you've seen movies like that, so you never know. Like,
Now with Fred, in the original script, there's an opening scene where more of Edgar and old Fred. In fact, the two are shown as close friends who meet up to trade livestock, but Edgar's prized donkey is eaten by a graboid, setting up why Edgar climbs the electrical tower. But this scene was actually filmed but cut because they thought it was too boring, and that it revealed the mystery of the graboids way too soon.
See, that's a smart choice though, because we're holding the cards a little close to our chest for a while in this movie.
Well, and that's why with the poster art and the box art on the VHS release, I read that they were really upset that it showed the graboid tentacle, because they wanted to set this up like it could be a slasher, that somebody could just be a killer. They didn't want to reveal that it was a creature or a monster. They really were trying to set up that it was really ambiguous. It could be a serial killer. It could be a slasher kind of movie. They didn't want to reveal what kind of film it was. And so the studio was really uptight about what was on the poster.
Yeah. I think it might have helped though, because if you went into it, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I guess I didn't see it because of the poster. I know a lot of people, like you guys were saying, like you rented it because of the poster. Yeah. So, because I saw it on TV, so I didn't have any like preconceived notion of what was going to be in the movie. So,
well, and I think
when going in blind is good.
When it's called Tremors, the suspension of disbelief for it being like a slasher isn't really there, right? Like,
right.
It's something in the ground. I don't think it would have worked with that title.
Yeah.
Now, some of the other effects and set pieces, the pole vaulting scene,
Yes.
Almost all those boulders are fake.
Oh, they'd about have to be, because if you screwed up, your actors are toast.
Well, because they were on site and they thought of that scene, but there weren't enough boulders close enough together to make it work. So they built most of the boulders so that they can make that scene actually work.
Nice. Yeah, that
I
seems
watched
awesome.
something about that. Yeah, like how many times they failed or something. I don't know. If you have some on that. I think I've seen it. Like they were talking about, like she just couldn't do it, or one of them just could not do it. Like they wanted them to do it. And
It would be me.
couldn't do
I
it.
would be eaten because I could not pole vault.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just drop straight down.
I couldn't see me being like from a distance. If somebody saw me doing that, like my big ass just like going on this pole, like like a walrus.
All right,
just across the
we got to film a
thing.
reenactment, and we all have to pole vault
from rock to rock.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, my legs would just snap. I'd go to catch myself, my feet would just snap.
I think your feet would just drag on the ground. You'd literally have to have
Yeah.
a telephone pole. You're like 7 feet tall. The Graboid would
have
just
to
be
see
able
this.
to get you. Yeah, get you by the ankle.
CGI me in. I'm done.
All right, we'll just download a character model and put your face on it, and yep, there it is.
just like the intro. We'll have someone be the stunt actor, and we'll just put his face on it.
I know a stunt. I know a stunt actor. He's here right now.
I'll do it.
Gonna have to put on a
We'll
lot
just do
more
forced perspective.
than we did last time. Oh, that's so good.
Something else to point out about these about the props is the GMC, Bert's GMC was actually Michael Gross's personal vehicle.
Nice.
In this movie, and he had it until about 2006.
Sell it to a super fan.
I was gonna say.
I think it got sold for something like that.
Yeah,
but
that should be Tyson's first car.
Probably to make movie number 7.
I need to get him an Atlanta Hawks hat or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And a GMC.
Yeah, he's wearing one right there.
I don't know sports.
I don't.
Basketball.
It's good.
It's funny that he's got an Atlanta Hawks hat, and they're in the middle of perfection.
Yeah,
nowhere close to Atlanta.
Well, then he switches to Cubs in the sequels.
Yeah,
that's true. I had to think about that for a second.
Now something else good about Michael Gross, and Bert gives Melvin an empty revolver, yet Bert still checks to see that the gun is unloaded upon its return, which follows firearm safety rules, unlike some modern day actors.
Mr. Baldwin. If he's watching this
from his jail cell. Yeah.
I mean, he's on screen now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Is that too soon? Too soon for that one? No.
Only I was gonna say something about Bill Skarsgård not getting killed while filming the new Crow. That's a bummer.
No, that's
I don't know how I feel about that.
That's too soon.
These set photos aren't giving me high hopes.
Looks like fucking Machine Gun Kelly.
no.
Machine Gun Kelly.
No, dude, he looks like the dude from Die Antwoord.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
He looks like Ninja from Die Antwoord.
I can't believe he covered up all of his tattoos.
I suppose I should be optimistic for the new Crow, but that one picture and I was like, no. So
I like a lot of remakes and stuff. Like I like some of the stuff that's been coming out and everything else. But then there's a big part of me that's kind of like, just leave those ones alone. You know what I mean? Like,
leave Britney alone.
There's no like I could watch it 20 more times and it's gonna be just as nostalgic and good as the first time that I watched it. Like
right.
Because there's just a really good chance that you're gonna remake it and I'm gonna freaking hate you for it. You know what I mean? Like just stop doing it. Or my big thing is making movie about video games. I'm like, if you're not gonna follow the video game, please just give it a different name, call it something else. Like leave it alone. Stop.
For sure.
you make me waste an hour to 2 hours of my life that I'm gonna hate you for. Like, I'll never watch another one.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There's my rant. Like, for the day. Uh-oh, heard echo. Are you fixing?
Yeah, we're having
Fixed it.
some echo issues, and I can't fix it the way I wanted to while we're live. I don't know why it's happening.
You're gonna have to whisper. Whisper. Hey, Shades. Hi, buddy.
Just breathing in your ear.
Yeah.
Have you seen
All
Tremors?
right, that should help. That should help quite a bit. I fixed it.
You know,
Or
that was one of the main
somewhat.
reasons why I bought a mic. I mean, it was just better, for audio quality and everything else. But there's times where I was streaming where I was so into a game, you can hear me breathing into my mic when I'd watch the stream back, and I'm like, I sound so fat. Like I gotta stop. Like I just kept pulling the microphone like out here.
You're
Like,
getting winded playing video games.
oh, dude, just when you're not thinking about it and stuff like that,
Yep.
it's like you're just in the moment. But yeah, you watch it back and you're like, son of a bird. I wanted to use that clip, but here I am.
Oh, just got a new cupcake coming out.
I can just imagine me being like a son of a movie, and they're like, "Could you stop breathing for like 4 seconds so we can get this, please? Someone give him a nasal spreader, something."
Well, I got a little bit left, but not a whole lot. A lot of things that are like, the water tower was originally written to collapse during Rhonda's rescue, but Universal wouldn't give them the money to film it.
I don't know why.
Knock it down, put it back up. They wouldn't do it.
So we didn't talk about her too much. Like for being one of the
We did
leads,
not.
I mean, I don't want to say she's forgettable, but like as a leading lady in a movie, like Reba's more memorable. I don't know. And I don't know what else that lady's been in.
The Seismo jigger?
Yeah.
That lady?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know much of her career beyond Tremors. I don't know that I've seen her in anything else.
Now that you say that, I don't know that I have either. Yeah, she kind of definitely plays second fiddle. I mean, it's just such a character dense film that it's hard to think about her really when you've got Bert and Reba and Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. Just Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward alone. I mean, because it's really their movie. It's them, like the whole like buddy. We want to get out of here type of deal. Like we're sick of this crap. Like,
well,
they're the primary focus for sure.
And like, I don't know that she's not like a true love interest. They kind of shoehorned her in, with her background. She doesn't provide a lot of expertise other than
She's just the exposition. Yeah.
She knows there's 3 graboids based on her seismography or whatever they call that. But I don't know. For as much screen time as she has, I don't know that the movie's better with her in it.
Yeah, she's essentially like just exposition for the audience.
Right.
And to kind of like anytime they need to speed up the action for her to be able to be like, hey, they're coming or whatever,
Yep.
So like she would be if it was a video game, she would be like the one who radios Solid Snake, you know what I mean? Like, okay, or the phone calls in Grand Theft Auto, like you need me to go pick up so and so. All right, I'm on it. Like that's all that she really.
There was like a narrator. She would have been the one who narrated it about, you know what I mean, like about the boys, or she would have been the one like telling the story or something. Where it's not like
yeah,
some crazy thing that had to happen.
Because I mean, we're like almost 2 hours into this, and we're just now mentioning her.
Yeah,
so like that's a very natural sign that her character was just kind of a MacGuffin, sort of.
Oh yeah.
Well, fun fact: the ending for this movie was much different than what it actually. The original ending was different.
They all get eaten.
Originally, her and Val didn't kiss, and their hookup was just implied. Actually, Val and Earl head out to Bixby and the two are looking for their lighter and realize that Rhonda still has it. So they turn around and head back. The ending was shot, tested for one audience, and was not well received. And the audience would repeatedly chant, kiss her," at the end. So the studio paid for a quick reshoot so that they would kiss at the end.
That's different.
I don't know if that's what I would have been
Yeah, I don't know.
scared about. I don't know if I would have.
They just need to. They should have rode off into the sunset, and then the camera pans back to the back of the truck, and they have like 3 of the Graboid tongue, because they're gonna go and sell them and make some money. Because I mean, like that's kind of their whole deal is they just want to make some money and get out of there, and they don't want to be handyman anymore. I think like that would have been the natural progression of them, which it does end up being. Fred Ward's in the sequel is they sold some rights, they got the Graboid video game and all that stuff, but he doesn't end up making as much money as he would have liked to have. So they're kind of like, they're the guys looking to make a buck off of this. And it should have ended in a lighthearted way of them still trying to make some money off of it, I think.
Could you imagine this movie in the era we're in now? TikTok and viral clips and reels. I mean, talk about cashing in.
Oh,
Completely different story.
Yeah. And then there'd have to be that like obligatory scene where people are like, oh, this is so fake. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like the comments, like they post a video like, oh man, we're going to make a ton of money off of this reel or whatever. And then people are like, this looks so fucking fake. You guys go kill yourself. You blow whatever. Like, how the internet is. Everyone's so mean and hateful. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, you were talking about that. So, like, how, like, the worm goes off the cliff, splashes down at the bottom, and he's like, man, if that wouldn't happen, you realize how much that thing would be worth, and he pulls out, like, 2 tentacles, and it's like the Fast and the Furious where he holds up his shirt and shows the money. My pockets ain't empty, cuz. Like, he's
open up the back of the truck with all the DVD players in it.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of Graboid guts, like... We can get on the black market for these.
We'll piece them back
guts.
together. We'll make it one worm. Yeah, that one was the first one. This was for the second one. Like, we'll put the ass of the second one.
Like Walter Chang's partially digested body inside, like Deep Rising when it pukes up that guy and he's like half melted. Yeah, would have been glorious. But yeah, they really should have like tried to super cash in. It would have been hilarious if they had like just chunks of the Graboid in the back of the truck. And they're like how Jordy Verrill in Creepshow, like wonder how much they'd pay for it up to the college, like taking it to try and sell some like that neon orange Graboid guts.
Good.
Start bottling the blood.
Genuine Graboid blood from Perfection.
Making necklaces out of the little tines.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Graboid hunting 101,
Yeah. Make that money, son. That's how it should have.
That's funny.
Yep.
But kissing, to me, that's kind of weird. That was what, got everybody. Like, yes.
1990, baby.
So for a test audience.
General test audiences, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should make
They want a love story. Yeah.
Hell, if it was me, I'd make out with her. Yeah, it's real. Just whatever. That's the epitome of shoehorning something in for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You will have.
Because like basically the whole up until that point, like that's the joke, right? There's no other women for him, right? Oh, there's a girl. Okay.
Yep.
I'll take her.
Yeah. Meh. I don't know.
That's why I want to get out of here.
What else you got, Thundy?
Well, anybody got anything else about the movie they'd like to discuss? A favorite scene, a topic, anything of that nature?
That movie Tremors? I like it.
Yeah. I like it at all.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny when we were talking about like, how they were pole vaulting. Like, I like to think about like what music they could have put with that.
The Benny Hill theme.
Where they're out, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's so many funny things they could have put like music wise in there, like showing them from a distance, going from rock to rock to rock. I don't know why that popped in my head, but it did. I was like, man, I'm gonna go just make a bunch of clips of just different music.
Jump by Van Halen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every time they go, it like makes that like spring sound. That boing, 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 boing.
I will take you higher. Like,
Oh no! Would you just Creed us? No,
been
no.
created. You've been created.
Or
And
this.
I'm out. No, I'm joking.
Or this.
Copyright.
If pole vault correctly, no can defend.
Or they're on the rocks trying to figure out what to do.
Lee
So-
Van Cleef up in here.
We didn't discuss one of my favorite things was the rock paper scissors.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
To hell you
How
say.
he's- So like how he always
He
gets
always
him. He's
throws
like,
scissors.
well, and he like what he throws it and he loses or whatever, but he doesn't really understand the game. So he's like, paper smothers rock or whatever the heck it was, or I can't remember which one he said, but oh, it was so good because you're just as a kid that resonated with me because I'm like we played rock paper scissors at school during that time, like that was a big thing. So it was just hilarious. It's like some old guy doesn't understand, like
Bologna and beans.
Now I made eggs.
To hell you say. Man.
You dumb shit.
So good.
They're just perfect together, dude.
Yeah, that was oh man, like you think of like combos of comedy and seriousness at the same time, like just that's how boys would react. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
There are-
homies would react.
There are early David Spade, Chris Farley.
It's sad we only got him for one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Today they would have signed up for 3 movies back to back to back,
Yeah.
Because I fell off at 3, and that was a lot of the reason. Honestly, a lot of the reason why.
I did for a very long time, but I bought that attack pack and then I started watching the other ones. And then when I introduced the first movie to my son, he's like, "Is there another one?" I'm like, yeah. Is there another one? Yeah. So like every time a new Tremors movie would come out, I'd be like, "I bought you the new Tremors movie," and it was up until the last one. He's watched the last one once, and he's like, I'm never gonna watch that one again. So,
nope.
Yeah, because
I hated it.
It broke him, dude. Because they have that whole spoiler alert for anyone in the crowd who is watching Tremors 1 and hasn't got to Tremors 7, but it doesn't end well for Michael Gross in Tremors 7.
I don't like how they did it. So they could have done it much better. But the writing after 3 just kind of goes off the cliff like the Graboid in the first movie.
Yeah. That whole ending like tribute with the slow motion footage and stuff, that's hard. That's just tough to watch. And so, yeah, my son's like, "I'm never going to watch that movie ever again, Dad." So I'm like, yeah, me neither.
I remember nothing about any of the movies between 3 and 7. Like after 3 and before 7, I don't remember anything.
See,
From before 5 or 6.
I don't like 4. That's the prequel.
Tyson loves that one, but
I don't love 4. Like 5 and 6 when Jamie Kennedy comes in, like they're fun. 7's okay, but yeah, 1, 2, and 3 are super solid. 4 kind of falls off for me. 5 and 6 are okay.
1 and 2 are really my only like connections to the franchise. I'll watch the other ones with my son, but 2 carries over for me because we still have 2 of the main cast. We have Fred Ward and Michael Gross. Once we're just in the Michael Gross, I'm okay with it, but I need a little bit more ties to perfection. You know what I mean? I need some more of the OGs to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So,
It's one of those things where if you went away from the main cast for a movie and you shot like what was happening in the town over, they were affected too, or whatever. And then the next movie, you brought it back, brought those characters in, like something.
Yeah.
Those are really cool. It's like,
you
you spent one movie outside of that, but let's go back.
put the legacy characters, as they say.
Well, and they made Bert like more extreme every subsequent sequel, right? Like, Yeah, he's a guns and ammo kind of guy, soldier of fortune guy or whatever. But then they made him like such a caricature of the character that he originated that it gets into cheesy territory.
Yeah.
I have completely run out of ammunition.
Yeah,
Never happened to me before.
It's never happened to me before. The remote control cars, that was fun.
Yeah, in the
That
sequel,
was,
yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun and inventive. Really, I mean, you think about it, that's like kind of like a cheap thing for you just to draw attention. It wasn't just throwing something out there and shaking it.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't just push the timer and run away from it as fast as you can. It just shook.
Yeah.
Although that would have been kind of funny.
That's how Bert was raking in all that money in the sequel, man, because he was smarter than everybody else.
Does anybody know what the body count is for this film?
Let's see. There's
Old Fred.
There's 14 people in perfection.
So you have Old Fred, you have the married couple, you have Walter Chang.
7.
You got the 2 construction workers, right?
Yes.
There's 2 of those.
Yeah, the rip.
Forgot about them.
2 people in the car.
Yep.
I get stuck through a tire.
That Nestor.
6. Is it 6?
I'm going with 7 because I've 10.
So there's Edgar, Old Fred, the 2 road workers, the doctor and his wife, Walter, Nestor, and then there's 2 people who came to check on the road workers that were killed off screen. When they reference someone's got to come check on the road workers, they show 2 more helmets because people did try to come check and they got eaten. It's easy to miss those 2.
That's
Yeah,
cheap.
I wouldn't have counted them.
Yeah, that's cheap. Sneaking that in there, you sons of bitches. Off
Yeah,
screen.
they didn't go, man, what's happening here? You could have had one guy, one line. Helmets. Just throw some helmets out there.
Yeah. A bloody sneaker.
Yep. I'm sold.
Hey, they had a $10 million budget.
And they put it all on screen though, for sure. Like it looks like a very, very high budget movie to me anyway.
It's aged very well because it's practical. I mean,
yeah.
Yes.
I watched it again kind of as a refresher earlier this week, and it still looks as good as it did. The kind of like Jurassic Park 2, though. When you look at those movies that have really high-end practical effects, they don't age.
Yeah. Because if you understand what you're doing when you're lighting these things and you're not using too much footage, you're not giving too much away. It has to age well. It's like The Thing, that will forever. The Thing and American Werewolf in London, to me, like that's shot and edited and preserved perfectly. There's such thing as showing too much to where you're giving away your magic trick a little bit or over lighting it or whatever. And this is tricky with Tremors because it's daytime horror. So it is as bright as it can possibly be, but they're keeping it dusty and they're, choosing to shoot from certain angles, and it does hold up very well. And I think you said 2 composite scenes. And those are the only times where something will look slightly dated because they had to kind of rotoscope around that graboid or whatever. And that's one shot is in the rec room when the camera's behind Bert and he's shooting at it. That's clearly a comp, like a rear projection, or it's not even rear projection. It's just comped two plates together. So the muzzle flash of the gun is cut off by the exposure. And that looks like 2 things laid over top of one another. That's the only thing that ages it. Everything else is as flawless gets.
Yep.
Speaks very highly to that.
Anyone else have anything else they'd like to discuss about this movie before I pull up my final clip?
Let's see it.
Only thing I have to say is you should drop a link in the chat where people can buy Tremors. Go buy it if you haven't seen it. Don't stream it. Buy it.
Yes.
Buy the physical media.
Own it.
I've got one of those packs in my storage unit of all the Tremors movies.
Because it might not be on Netflix later. It might not be on whatever. But if you own it, you can watch it whenever you want.
Yeah, right now
the other day, so that's a good line. I like it.
It's not streaming anywhere for free. You have to buy it or rent it. So yeah, just go buy a physical copy.
It's at Walmart
might
right
be
now.
at Walmart right
Seven.
Now, but is it?
It's like
Seven,
seven movies set for like
Yep.
$20 maybe even.
415.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Next time you go buy a loaf of bread, pick up 7 Tremors movies.
Yeah.
And watch two of them.
It might be streaming on. It
Yeah,
might
I'd
be
watch
streaming on Thundyflix, but
Yeah, because now
All right,
that
well, I
I've
have-
talked about it, I think me and my daughter are gonna end up watching this, so I'm gonna have to go buy them now.
that's a good one. Maybe a year from now, when we do our anniversary stream, we'll have to cover Tremors 2.
Sounds good to me. I'll
I
come
mean,
back.
it's not like there
unlike
isn't
Kevin Bacon.
7 movies that we can talk about, but
7
Well,
years
I have-
later,
Yeah, right. 7 years later.
we just go
But
live to
I
say we're
have-
not gonna talk about the 7th movie, and then we leave.
Right. Well, I have one final clip that I would like to share with you guys that we're going to use probably for an episode of Shades After Dark. Are we ready for this?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Just can't get my head around that.
What do we have in here? I don't even know where to begin with this.
It's underwear. Wow.
Stop
Good
it.
Lord.
No, it's not. That's a cocksock?
this is with the with the right number of tennis.
I want it.
This is exact biological replica.
And what's that? For her pleasure? His pleasure? What are we talking about here? What's a couple?
Even with the little pushers on it, made of beads.
Interesting. Hope it's not been used.
Whoever can fill this up, I got to tell you, that's pretty impressive.
Someone's working with a serious graboid. I mean, is it being stored or is that Jesus?
See, this is the kind of thing that I want to see more of.
I was gonna say, well, it's just really cold in here, I think, because I'm not filling that sock up.
Yeah.
Might arch
Right.
my back and shave my pubes, maybe.
My
I don't know.
graboid sock was born premature.
Like an acorn sitting on 2 balls.
This is at the very end of the behind the scenes documentary thing that they released just a few years ago. So that's definitely worth your time watching. I think it's only like 40 minutes or something like that. It's on YouTube, but
Nice.
it gives you a nice little insight, and especially from people from now looking back to then. They do some on location stuff, walking around where everything used to be. It's pretty cool. But I saw this and I'm like, this has to go in here. And I actually tried to find this. And I was going to buy one for the stream, but I'm pretty sure this was handmade for this documentary.
Probably.
So
Might be able to find it on Etsy. That would have been an interesting stream if you just stood up the whole show and just were only wearing that. How about the viewership would go through the roof,
Graboid.
through the ground, whatever you want to say.
I looked on Etsy, but after Googling what that would be, like Graboid sock caca stuff, you don't want to know the retarding ads I was getting. So,
oh,
but yeah, I'm like, I watched this. I was in here dying laughing. Like, I can't wait for the stream just for this one clip.
Is that what you said the other day?
Might have been. It might have been. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
remember
searching
you
graboid sock.
walking out of here giggling, and you're like, you're gonna have to wait till the stream.
Yep, that was it.
Ye old.
So yep, that's the old cocksock. But that's it, boys. That's Tremors. That is Tremors. We've been going for 2 hours. I think we covered most of it, and that was pretty fun. Aside from the echoing issues that we were unaware of until late in the stream, I got it fixed, but it was a little late. But hopefully, it doesn't sound awful on rewatch. But we'll have that fixed for next stream. So
more cardboard.
Yes.
No, I fixed it. Since I had to change up how we did it from our test stream, I forgot a singular filter, and that screwed the pooch. But we're good now. Hopefully it's not that bad. If it is, oh well, I guess we'll fix it and move on, because you know what we're gonna cover Next month,
I do.
Grandma's Boy. We're going to cover Grandma's Boy next month. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
New high score?
I cannot
Great
wait.
movie. We're going to have a bunch of clips from that one. I can't wait to see what the behind the scenes reveals. Like, it's going to be a good one. So, Crude may or may not be with us. We'll see. But, you know, we'll be here. And like I said, if you're a content creator or know one that talks cinema, talks movies, that would like to come on once a month or rotationally and talk about this stuff, we would love to have you. So,
come on down.
Got to mind your P's and Q's, so that takes out some of you.
But the damn
Oh,
cues
well.
are so tough.
Well, with that being said, what do we got all going on? Let's see. Mr. Crude, you got any streams coming up?
Undecided on if we'll get one tonight, actually, or not.
Right after you watch Tremors?
Yeah, I was gonna say after I go eat and watch Tremors, and then I'll be like, maybe not. Maybe I'll watch 2 and 3 and 4. But yeah, moving into the new work schedule and stuff like that. I don't know, man. It's just kind of getting acclimated with getting up at 6 in the morning. That's not me. That's not my go-to. So, just coming up with like a schedule for streaming and with that. So we'll see. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to put that together and kind of get that going.
Word.
Well, how about you? Well, how about you, Dustin? You got anything coming up? What do you got coming up?
Nothing for about 2 weeks, but we just dropped yesterday, actually, the new episode of the Deep Cut podcast. We have started covering the Scream franchise. So Scream 1, that episode just went live yesterday and is getting some fairly decent traction. Also, if you're not quite sold on just jumping right into our hour-long podcast episodes, you can go to our 3B video YouTube channel where we've been uploading shorts, little snippets of our conversations from certain episodes, and it'll kind of give you an idea of how we discuss films and the way we get distracted and fixate on completely pointless things that make Evil and I laugh uncontrollably. So yeah, that's something you can check out. And then I believe next Friday we will be live on our YouTube channel Friday night from 8 to 10. And I cannot remember what the plan is because I'm ill prepared. But yeah, we have
From
about
the last stream, you said it was going to be Terminator 2.
Yeah, and then I think since we missed yesterday because we had to get some sparring in since my son has a tournament coming up. I don't know if we're bypassing T2 or if we're still going to stick with T2, but I know we had something on the back burner, but I just cannot recall what.
With it.
Yeah, T2 is one of the greatest movies of all time. So I have no issue discussing T2 at length. But yeah, next Friday night at 8 to 10, we'll be discussing something. Swing by, hang out, listen to us babble for 2 hours, and it'll be a silly time. But yeah, check out the podcast. That's the main thing that I'm truly putting all of my effort into at the moment. I can't work on any film at the moment because my go-to homeboy, Dylan, has a project out of state. So I'm going to try not to have any schedule conflicts. But we do have some things on the horizon that we're going to do that shouldn't take too terribly long to film. But yeah, I suppose just follow our channel and you'll stay up to date with that.
I do have 3B video linked in the description of this video. If our Stream Elements bot was working, you would have been getting these links all day, but it decided to not work today either. And are you guys ready to shun me?
Sure.
What'd you do?
I'm always ready.
So I've only seen bits and pieces of the different movies, but I've never sat down and watched the Terminator franchise. I've never seen any of them at length.
I might
watch the first two.
Yeah, you might get kicked in the head. That's not good. You can't. You can't go through life without seeing at least the first.
Not
two.
coming back this time.
That was a short-lived dream.
At least the first two.
Yeah, but I planned on it. I planned on watching the first two for your stream, and so I've gotten caught up rewatching Buffy lately. So,
not the good Buffy.
The
Not
movie?
the movie. The movie's great.
Not the movie.
Series.
You're
incredible.
floating.
But yes, so Dylan, you got anything coming up?
Hanging out with you Cyber Skull boys. Got a couple different interviews kind of out there. I'll drop some details when they get finalized, but yeah, two guest spots popping up on some podcasts. Silverback Lane, you can follow that on Instagram. We drop a lot of tidbits. You can kind of see some of the cast and crew that are on board already. Then whatever Dustin's doing, I'm down with. So whenever he's got projects, I'll be working with 3B Video Films.
Hey, it's about time, Dustin. We're about to get on out of here.
All right.
But I mean Dustin in our chat, Mr. DGZ07, one of our longtime regulars, finally made it in today as we're heading out. But you know, it happens. That's why there's a replay that everybody can watch. So as far as have I really not watched, not in length, no, I've seen bits and pieces and I've never sat down and watched them.
Sure.
So
I've got every movie ever, guy, but I only
have
watched
them.
25% of them.
They're on Fundyflix, but I just haven't committed, so I'm gonna do that. So as far as what Shades and I have coming up, like I said, we've got a bunch of spicy videos we still got to shoot. Got some more coffee and beer videos on the way. We've got a few interviews we're lining up that after today we are going to start actually contacting people and lining up times to shoot those interviews. So the first one we're looking at shooting may be a guy from a little band called Emphatic or Arson City from the Omaha area. So that's going to be fun. We went to the Super Bowl championship rally. As you can see, that was the last video that we dropped, if you want to give that a peep. And then we have, let's see, our next video we're going to actually shoot actively out in the wild is we're going to go see Ritz here at the end of the month in Lincoln. So
yeah, what about
we're
that
gonna-
video?
Huh?
So what about that video?
What about that video? Well, over on Dark Side Brews, we posted a video about Ritz's coffee. He dropped his own coffee line, and yeah, you can go check it out. The short has gotten well over 1,000 views, and Ritz himself reposted it on Instagram. So that's kind of cool. So we've gotten some fun eyeballs on that. But you know, when you're shooting lots of different videos with multiple channels and in life, it takes a while to get it all down and done. So we finally got Hall of Fandom episode 1 out of here. We will be back next month with Grandma's Boy, and keep an eye on everything. Like I said, you can follow our Facebook page. That's where we post our announcements and videos from every channel that we follow, videos we share from friends' channels. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be fun. So that's what we've got going. So anybody else have anything to say before we roll up out of here?
No. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, everybody.
You guys.
And
Fuck you!
Thanks for stopping by. Cool. Thanks for rocking with us from the start, that rules. We wanna thank you all, from the likes to the views. Reading all your words makes this whole thing true. Cyber Skull Media is here because of you. From Shades, Thundy, and that dude crew to say thank you. Yeah, I say thank you. Yeah, we say thank you. Yeah, we say thank you. We out.